we go. Now hold on. Now I gotta play musical landscape mode.
It never changes though for you. Just keep it in profile.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it doesn't turn your phone.
That's
You
so
gotta
odd.
I know, it really is.
So odd. Okay, so then I can do this. This. All right.
Alrighty.
We good? We good to go?
We are good to go. We are rolling, I think. We
Hey.
should be up and running and up.
Everybody. Hello, hello. We are Splintered Spirits.
That's true. That's exactly who we are. This is John Santa. I'm Gary. How are you?
Hey, listen, today has been a crazy day for me.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It's been a wild day. Not just the weather, the rain affecting equipment, getting ready to go to Indiana. Just a lot going on. A lot going on today.
All right.
So,
All right.
what about you? How's everything going?
It's going good, dude. So the tournament has started. And oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna just really quickly. I have to remember to set my to pause my upload so this thing works a little faster on my end.
Yeah.
The tournament has started. I don't know if everybody was paying attention. We had
Everybody in the chat, what's going on?
We had the Spirits give us their predictions for the NCAA men's tournament bracket. And what's really great is that so far, we've won. We're winning.
What do you mean? They got it right?
Yeah, there's 16. There's going to be, in the next 2 days, there's going to be 32 games.
Okay.
So it's all day for the next 2 days. And then, well, it's the next 4 days, really. But the first round is 32 games. We've won the first 3 games so far. We're close to winning a fourth. So it's, we're off and running,
Cool. I love how people in the chat are calling you Uncle Meow right now. Eva Boxy's giving you a little meow.
Now they can.
Or the Spirits, either way. So I actually have a guest with me. I have a guest with me that is going to join us a little bit here and there. Whenever we want to talk to him, we're going to maybe do a little interview. It is Brian. And for those who know Brian the mod, he's a mod for me on my TikTok, Santa Paranormal. And he's been a mod with me for a long time, and he's come with me on some of my adventures. He is an eyewitness to this live. So when you guys are watching me live, he's seeing it with his own eyes, and he's been on some adventures with me. So we're gonna ask him some questions about things you've seen, talk about experiences at the undisclosed location, at the cemetery, all sorts of stuff. So what do you want to start with? What are we diving into?
All right. Well, let's talk about. Oh, you know what I want to talk about? It's a good way to start, I think. Which is one thing that happened at the when we were at the cemetery doing our picks was something that was a great throwback to episode 2.
Yes.
So I want to show you. I pulled the clip. So let me show it to everybody here because this will be really interesting. I think so. I think it's interesting anyway.
Yeah.
But of course we can't hear it.
Your brother.
Here we go.
You know the significance of that.
Let me start it over.
Wow. Okay. Something very cool. I just heard that's your brother. You know the significance of that. Because guess where we are? We're right near where we speak to the child version of Edward. And you can see us?
So a little quick backstory.
Wait, what's going on right now?
So we have a theory that spirits are. John's theory is that ghosts are the splintered memories of the living, and one of the ghosts that's a horrible, nasty ghost that's in another location. There's his younger version of that ghost is where John is right now. So we were trying to see if they were connected. So we told the ghost at the cemetery that I was his brother.
No shit.
And a female spirit just said that they can see us, said, I can see you, and said, that's your brother. And it would make sense because that's what we told.
I remember you guys doing that. You did the old one too.
Yeah.
So
wow.
wait.
All right. Just had to point that out. Wow. Okay.
Crazy, right? Whoops. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Wild. That's wild.
Yeah. So you
And
know,
how long ago was that? How many weeks ago you think that was? 6, 7, 8?
oh Jesus, I mean, we did episode 2, I think, in 2024 at some
In
point.
2024. Most of the episodes were done in 2024.
That's right. So more than that. So it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's been a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months
for them to point that out, which is crazy. So it's a really interesting sort of here we go, live. Sorry. Oh, now I'm seeing the chat. There we go. And yeah, guys, we're on TikTok. We can, just go to whatever platform you want, but we're here on TikTok and everything else, so it's fine. You can see us everywhere. We got a little bit of a drag today, but hopefully it's still watchable. So it's funny, John, because I got a question from a fan about this, and again, because it speaks to people are obsessed with this story. We're constantly getting this childish Edward sort of question about spirits. Why is there kids ghosts?
It's got major implications.
Tell us what do you think? What do you think was going on when you heard that?
When we were doing the March Madness picks?
Yeah.
To me that's normal. It's just, more proof on just the spirits and the spirit chatter and the things you can hear in the spirit chatter. What starts to become like, you think of it like this, almost like someone walking down the street and recognizing you. Mm-hmm. I had you and Lou on, at the cemetery, and all of a sudden the spirit's like, oh, wait a minute, that's his brother. I remember him saying that. And that's what it was. It was just, call it lightning striking. But I guarantee if we went every day at the cemetery, another spirit would be like, oh, yeah, that's your brother. Oh, that's that's your brother.
That's funny. All right. So they're retaining that information. They constantly do it. So this we got a question, and it speaks to that from Megan, who said she goes by, you might recognize her handle as Scorpio Ghost.
Yes.
And she asked this question of why a child version of Edward would be at the cemetery, being that he was so old when he passed. And is this from his younger days of maybe visiting his sisters or father that passed with his mother? So it's, again, a lot of people are trying to connect these dots between the younger version and the older version and the split memories about spirits. So I think we've answered it, but go ahead.
The first solid answer that I can give, and that's I have no idea. That's the honest, solid answer to that question. I have theories, though, and I have a theory. Now, let's think of those memories of young Edward. For those who don't know this, Edward did not grow up in New York. Edward grew up in Massachusetts. Okay? He left, I think, when he was 12, 13 years old and came to New York. So that's a younger version than that. Okay. So technically, those types of memories should be at his house or wherever he lived. If the place is still there in the area, they should be there. So now what first goes through my mind is, okay, how can these memories be at this cemetery? How did they connect to the physical remains of Edward and his family? How did that happen? So you think, is there quantum ways they could connect? Are there, other forces that we don't know about that are able to make that happen? Are these the memories of Edward through somebody else who's buried there? Like the mother. I believe the mother is buried there. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think he actually had put his mom's remains in that plot. So there's a headstone there with her name on it. That doesn't mean her remains are there, though. Okay. If that's the case, did Edward come there before he died and he put that stone there for his mother, even though his mother's remains aren't even there? Or did Edward himself bury his mother there? And these are those memories that are coming through. I don't know. That's the crazy thing about it. I just don't know.
All right. Well, Scorpio Ghost, I hope that's where we're at with this. I mean, honestly, I think that's the big soul of this podcast of trying to answer that very question, if
Yeah.
we ever could, which is,
If we ever could.
what are spirits? How do we? That's the whole thing. I mean, it really is the whole thing.
What if see, and here's something crazy. What if there is a small part of these spirit particles that attach to us no matter what? I live in Edward's home. And that's another thing, everyone, yeah, in the fireplace room, Edward, but there's a chance that where my bedroom is in my house was once part of Edward's bedroom.
That would be crazy. Sure. That's right.
And I have original brick, from the Victorian build, in my apartment. So we don't know. We don't know how it works. Maybe I was the catalyst. Maybe I was the one that reunited those memories and didn't even know about it.
Oh, that would be weird, right?
Yeah,
that would be really weird.
You could literally critically think Scorpio Ghost's question. We could do the whole rest of the podcast, this session, on that question. Like that's how wild that question is.
Yeah.
But it's something that does need to be addressed, and we're probably going to end up addressing it, a couple more times down the road.
Yeah, we're gonna pull a few. Look, we're gonna try to do a lot of different things, and I would, yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, where do we want to go? What do we want to talk about then? Because it's like we've got. Yeah, I see you're back at the office today.
Yes.
You have a guest. Why don't we talk to your guest? He's got some ghost stories he wants us to analyze.
Yeah, he's got some stories.
What's he doing with you today?
Plus a cat. He's got some stories plus a cat.
Sure.
Here he is. Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Brian Ahmad. I'm on
Hey, Brian, how are you?
on TikTok. But nice to meet you, Gary.
Nice to meet you as well.
So
thanks for joining.
Yeah, no problem.
I want you to whatever information you're comfortable with giving.
Okay.
Okay, I want you to give. I want you to tell my uncle about you.
Okay.
Your past, your life, just so he gets an idea of who you are, because you're about to say some really crazy shit to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll start. When I was 18, I was a firefighter paramedic in New York, but it was upstate New York, not down this way. And
where upstate?
So, Plattsburgh, like way up.
Okay.
Yeah, up in the corner where you can basically walk across the ice in the wintertime, and you're in Vermont. It's on Lake Champlain.
Wow. Okay.
So I was paid doing that, and I did that for 15 years. And part of it brought me down for 9/11. I did, search and recovery and that stuff like that. And to this day, I still have PTSD going to the city, as far as I don't even want to go anywhere near that area. I
can
would like
imagine.
to see it. I would love to see it, but I just can't. But I did my career backwards, because after that, I went into the Air Force, where I was a PJ, they call it, which is Special Forces. So that's what I did for 3 years until I got hurt. I was blown up with 11 other guys. We were ambushed, and none of us died. We all made it out somehow, some way. Somebody was watching over us, or whatever you want to say, that day. Because we all made it. I mean, we were all messed up. I have 6 rods in my back. I've got a lot of vascular issues that went with it. I've had 5 or 6 back surgeries. Actually, the first time I met John, I was just still recovering.
You were still recovering
from one of them.
So, all right. So, total badass.
Yeah. Well, yes,
Total
of course. I think one has to always say, when a situation like that, is thank you for your service.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as an
Total
experience,
badass.
like what you've been through and seen, and then when you meet John, do you have your own sort of thoughts on who and what he's talking to, and what the afterlife is?
I mean, I'm the same way as far as John is. I'm an atheist as well, and I'm a skeptic, a huge skeptic. But the way he goes about his lives before I met him in person started making me believe. I would like watch and not ever interact, just kind of watch from afar because I'm like, well, what's going on here? And then the more he showed it, the more I started believing, okay, there's got to be something else out there. I mean, as far as like what he explains and what he does on his lives. And then when I met him for the first time, I met him in the fireplace room. I was live with him, and the way it was set up, I could actually look out the doorway. And out that doorway, John had like a plastic tree or whatever, something like that, a bush tree, whatever.
Yeah, it's like a plastic decoration
Yeah.
tree by the garbage.
And
Spruced up the garbage a little bit.
something just told me to look out that door, and when I did, I see one of the ghost children. It was the gray, and they had black eyes. And I
you
could
saw
see
this was seen at the fireplace
at
room.
the undisclosed location. The fire.
At where Edward is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Just out in the hallway.
So that's out in the hallway. So this is live. So let me just real quick paint this picture for you. We're live in the fireplace room. We're sitting just like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm looking at the TikTok. Brian has a straight shot out the door, the fireplace room door. Okay, our backs is to the fireplace. I'm literally talking to the audience, and then all of a sudden I look at Brian. I see him just not paying attention to anything going on in front of us, just looking out the door, and the expression on his face, everything, he just completely changed. And I looked at him and I said, I know that look. I'm like, what did you just see? And he goes, I saw one of the ghost children. And I'm like, congratulations, because not many people get to see that in person, like, holy shit. And then knowing his background, like, this man sees something, it's not going to shock him. Let's be real. Like, it's not going to do that. Reaction was to something that, very few people see. So pretty wild. All right. Sorry.
No.
I mean, that changed my mindset, obviously. I mean, there was stuff leading up to that, right? And that just happened out of the blue because before that, I was sitting up against, there's like a wall in there, a brick wall.
He's been
Oh,
in
there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there where John used to have his eBay room, and I could feel something rubbing my neck. It real light, and it was just, and I finally said, "Stop touching my neck," which I figured out exactly what was going on, and I could feel it, and it did. It stopped. It listened to me, like okay, and it just stopped. And then I've heard disembodied voices for myself. John, the last time I was with John was in December.
In December, yep.
And we went to Buckout. And that was, I think, my third time with you at Buckout.
Yes.
Anyways.
We were in the car. It was raining.
It was raining now, so we were in the car.
We were in the car. Yep.
But we had to get out before before John went live. And as soon as he got out of the car, you hear John, like really loud, and it was a disembodied voice that you could hear.
I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Have you ever had an experience when you were not with John?
I have, but it was the last time I can remember. It was when I was younger. We lived in like a house that was built in the 1800s, and there would be something that would walk from my room. And back then they had like the master and like one of the other rooms was like a joint with the door. You know what I mean? Like you can see in the hotel rooms when you get two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, but something like a black shadow would walk through, like past the foot of my bed, and then it would go right into that doorway, and it would just like come around, and you could hear it walking because like the wood is like in here. You could hear people going across the wood, and you could hear that thing running up and down the hallway, whatever it was.
Okay, and was there anybody with you at the time when that happened that would be that maybe felt that they were more connected to spirits, like like in your family or something than you might have? Well, I guess what I'm trying to get at is when you're around John, you're getting these experiences. Was there anybody else you were around, since that's the only other time, that might have been pulling that experience to you?
I don't
Do you know what
know
I mean?
because yeah, I know what you mean. And like my parents, if they see anything, I mean, they've never talked about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's more like before right? It used to be taboo or whatever, to talk about ghosts and spirits and whatever. People would say you were crazy, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, or now, it's more acceptable, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Because people want to know now. People want to know what's on the other side, or how true this stuff is. I mean, we see it in the chat all the time.
Sure. John, I want to show you something. Speaking of that, because you said you saw like a ghostly figure. We got a submission from someone named Nicole
Oh,
saying
nice.
she got, and she sent me this photo that she took. And tell me what you think of it, and see, is this a similar looking figure to what you saw? And hold on, I'm going to share my screen. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see if you can see it and how well you see it. It'll come up in a sec. All right. Now, take a look at that photo. I can see a figure.
I see a figure in the doorway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
But this does happen quite a bit with things. It looks like something out of Ghostbusters. Or like a shadow version of it. Very distorted. That doesn't look human, but it looks humanoid.
It looks like a hand, like an arm, certainly down the one side by
Yep.
the lamp. Like another arm is sort of up, maybe a hand's on like a hip or something like this. On the other side, like their left arm. And then I
Yep.
could see what's a shape like a head, shoulders. Now she's saying her grandparents lived like, it was her grandparents, I believe, like right next door or something, at the time when they passed. But it was like, and she really believes that that's a family member.
Oh, okay.
But is that the kind of vision you saw?
Yeah, it might have been a little taller, but yeah, I mean the same thing. Black shadow,
What you saw in your house.
Yeah, when I was
Like
younger.
When you were
humanoid.
younger.
Right.
Okay.
I know I can't show pictures, but I mean I've showed you this picture.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
wild.
I guess I'm more open to it now. Maybe I used to shut it off and I don't realize it, or maybe something triggers somewhere. Where before I met John, and became friends with him, and I didn't, he showed through his lives.
I'm gonna do the thing that everybody hates. I'm gonna do the thing that everybody hates. You ready?
What's that?
Yep.
I'm gonna do that amazing debunking, devil's advocate, straight up taking the mystery and magic out of things. You're just learning. You just learned. You just learned what to look for.
Yeah.
Now,
Good.
now you've been watching me for so long. You're one of my mods. You know what to pay attention to, and that's what's going on. So when you're experiencing things, these are the things that everybody experiences. We just don't know it. That's why there was such an uptick in hauntings during COVID when everybody was stuck in their houses.
Oh God.
There wasn't an uptick in haunted. Everybody was home. Everybody was home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So, and that's what it was. Like, I mean, that's just my personal opinion on it. But
Right.
I think it's more of think about it. I go live for hours on end.
Yeah.
And you're there for a lot of it. So you learn.
I can
Well, it's like,
understand all the
here-
spirit boxes you use too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, and John, I'm going to show you this video too. Someone else submitted.
Oh, nice.
Christina
Well,
Willens.
I just want to say that was a great capture. Whoever.
Yeah.
got
Nicole,
that.
thank you for that. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing. I hope you're watching.
Nicole, great capture. Awesome.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's hard to say what it is, but it certainly looks.
Yeah,
that would certainly
no
freak
idea
me
what
out.
it could be, but
If I took
awesome.
if I took that photo, and if I took a photo,
you'd burn down your house.
and it showed up, I'd be like, yeah, I burned down my house.
Yeah.
It's like, we're moving. See
Yeah.
you, Gramps. Have fun living here. It's like, I'm not going to be staying in that house. That's like, could you imagine?
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. I want to show you this. So
imagine.
this one, and listen, I hate debunking too. I hate when people like debunk magicians, and I hate even using that word here because then people are going to immediately associate tricks to what we're doing, and it's not.
Yes.
But it's like, I hate that kid at the birthday party who's spoiling the trick for everybody else. It's like, it's unfun.
Yep.
It's like, so it's like, I hate it. But I'm going to show you this clip. So this was submitted by Christina. She is a collector of haunted things.
Okay.
So I'll show you this video that she wanted us to take a look at. Hopefully it'll pop up in a sec.
You hear that?
There's no audio, but take a look. So you can see she has said all these dolls are haunted, and she's
Okay.
claiming they're orbs floating around.
Okay.
So now, for me, I say that's dust. These aren't spiritual orbs. Now, those dolls may or may not be haunted.
Can you run that clip one more time, please?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
So these dolls may or may not be haunted. They are certainly creepy. But the things floating around to me look like dust. This is pulled from a TikTok feed that she posted. So that's why it's a short video clip.
Very interesting. And again, it's one of those things that can go either or. I mean, and it becomes inconclusive because yes, it very well could be dust. The thing is, there are factors we don't know about this video. Okay, the first factor is how clean her home is dust wise, not in general, just dust wise. We don't know her, dusting practices, if she has fans in her windows, if there's fresh airflow, all those things. We don't know those factors. So on top of that, we also don't know how long that duration of footage actually is taken from. So, for example, if she set up her phone for an hour and walked out of the room, there's more of an argument that if she caught that in the last, 20 minutes of the footage, that's not dust because there's nothing in there kicking dust around. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's a lot of details we don't know about that footage to actually, make a proper assessment of it, and again, I have to agree. It could be dust. It might not be. I just don't, have enough information, but dust is a very logical and probable cause for, what happened.
I mean, look, this kind of shit happens on my Ring camera all the time. I'll see it when I wake up in the morning, it'll be like, it detected motion at 3:30 in the morning, right? And then I look outside and there's something slowly like an orb floating down in the front. And it's like, that's a bug or a water drop on the camera. There's nothing.
Yeah. So
it's
true.
like, it's just the bust.
So true. I mean, yeah, if that thing floating down all of a sudden gives you the finger, then you know that something's up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
But it could listen. What I will say about that video we just saw, both of those orbs came from the same spot. So I will say that both of those orbs came from that same spot, that same doll. Okay, but
What is an orb? What is the reason behind an orb? What do people think?
So let me tell you something. Orbs, wisps, whatever you want to call them, anonymous light, phenomenons. I mean, they're interesting because so many people have different views, right? So many different people, different views on an orb.
Mm-hmm.
Some people believe it's energy. Some people believe it's energy contained. What I can say is there are probably multiple different types of orbs, including bugs and dust. But I've caught evidence of an orb, well, technically a little girl running almost not out of the orb, but you could tell she emitted from the orb. And it was such a clear, it's somewhere on Santa Paranormal TikTok. It's somewhere on there. And it recently resurfaced in the Discords as well, from the audience captures.
Michelle Maibell on TikTok is saying she thinks orbs because of the distance from the first one to the second one.
The distance.
Is distance a factor to orbing?
No, because if a little piece of hair or dust floats around, it floats around. I've had some crazy orbs follow me around, in the abandoned side also. But yeah, going back to that video, it could be either or. It could be dust or it could be orb. I like how they both came from the same place. That's pretty cool. That's leaning more towards the argument that they're orbs. But then again, we just still don't have enough information, and dust is everywhere. I vacuum this place every couple of days, and it's there's dust, no matter what you do. Yeah. But again, with orbs, I've caught a little girl running out of an orb, and we caught her so clear I believe it was Lot Lizard who actually caught that's her handle. That actually caught, I love it, caught the audience capture in my live stream.
Right.
It's so definitive that you would argue not is it a little girl or not, if she's wearing a yellow dress or a yellow raincoat.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
that's how definitive the picture was.
That's cool. Let me ask you this: have you seen orbs without the camera? Are orbs usually there after the camera?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Yep, I have.
Okay.
So, but in that video that we just saw, it could go either or.
Yeah.
Cool video, you know.
The dolls
I like how
certainly
they
look
both
spooky.
came from that doll.
I wouldn't buy any of those dolls. That's for sure. Nor would I have a room full of dolls that look like that. I mean, it's almost like a scene.
Listen,
like you'd expect that to be like a scene out of Seven or something.
Dude, there's so many dolls in there, right? At least one of them has to be haunted.
Yeah, by default.
By default, which is
you
awesome.
Get dolls that look
you know?
like that, dude. It's like,
yeah.
If that's your bag, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
Super
I might
creepy.
be weird too. I'm gonna have a room just like that here
full of dolls
at the tower. I have enough dolls that I've collected over the years. Yeah, it's the stairwell.
It's just like, dude, you can't do. It's so funny, man. It's like you can't do anything wrong because you'd have to explain yourself. Like, imagine if like the cops show up for whatever reason, even just to ask you a question, and they see that, you're immediately going to look suspicious.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know,
it's like, dude, I think about this all the time.
Dress up.
Yeah, I think about this all the time because it's like, you know, my kid's a water polo player, and I'm taking pictures, you know, when he's out there playing, and I always get concerned if somebody stops me and they take my phone and then they're like, sir, you have a lot of little boys' photos on your phone. I'm like, no, this is my son's
wet little boys in here,
yeah, it's like
like
I immediately like send them to their parents, you know, for their because they like the photos I take, and then I delete them. I just get rid of them because it's like I don't want somebody to look through my phone and go, dude, what's wrong with this guy? He's got all these little
what's
boys
wrong
on.
with this?
It's like, you know,
it's the same thing with the dolls, dude.
That's what I mean. It's like you're gonna have all these dolls in your house, and it's like, like for example, you know, there was that you were telling me there was like somebody, you know, looking at envelopes or ripping envelopes up in your building there, and you know, taking mail. And imagine if the cops or somebody showed up knocking to like, John, we just want to see if you saw anything, and then they look around your office, and you're like, oh no, I'm actually a paranormal investigator. This isn't at all weird. All these dolls that I have.
This isn't at all what you think.
Yeah.
By the way, that one with the yellow polka dots is my favorite.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Right. It's just nuts.
Would you like some Girl Scout cookies?
I know. Right. You've got Girl Scout boxes of Girl Scout cookies, little dolls. And now you're on the watch list. Now you're on the watch list.
Well, and then they get even more freaked out when they go up a level because they're like, what the hell is going on here? You know?
It's absurd.
The mirrors, the masks. Oh,
it's
dude,
so crazy.
So crazy.
Now, all right, man. So Brian, Brian has seen similar things.
I got you,
but mainly,
I got you.
It sounds like it's mainly around you, right? I mean, it's not these, you know, which is interesting.
Yeah,
because that speaks to
that's correct. Because I mean, the house I live in now, I haven't experienced a thing.
Yeah. So what's interesting, Brian, is, you know, we've got a new episode dropping. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Aiden.
No, we'll leave Aiden out of it. No, it's okay. We'll leave Aiden out of it. The phone.
Oh yeah.
And could you, if you don't want to talk about it,
no, it's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm being honest. You don't have to talk. Everybody would understand. You're good?
Yeah.
All right. Listen to this crazy shit. This is gonna get fucking nuts. Okay.
And I
appreciate you telling the story.
And I don't want any trauma bonding out of this.
Yeah. No trauma bonding with this. Go ahead. Tell the story.
Christmas Eve, this past Christmas Eve, like morning early, like 2:12, something like that. It was 2:12 a.m. My mom died.
Sorry to hear it.
Thank you. And it was unexpected. You know, I mean, yeah, she's diabetic and all that, but anyways. So I have her phone, her cell phone, right? I have it shut off. I mean, she paid a whole year in advance, so I'm sure it'll go off at some point. But anyways, nobody has her number. The number still is with that phone. I've gotten 2 phone calls from that phone number. And when I've answered it, I've heard static. And like, I can't say I've heard a voice yet, but there's something underneath it. I just can't hear it. And it comes up on my iPhone. It says mom. And I've sent John a screenshot of it because I'm like, it's happened twice. And the second time I took the screenshot on my phone, the page with the incoming calls on my iPhone, and sent it to John. And I'm like, man, it happened again. So he called me and he's like, does anybody have her number? I'm like,
Well,
no.
that's why I asked him. I asked him 2 very important questions. I said the first one is that phone number, is the phone on or off, and is the phone still in service? Because it doesn't normally happen like this. I have a lot of experience when it comes to cell phones and re-getting cell phone numbers back. I have a lot of phones for this. You normally do not, if you lose your cell phone number, you normally cannot get it back. Okay, and it's very very small chances that somebody else is going to get that number immediately. It usually takes at least a year or 2. Okay, so I asked him that, and what were your answers?
The phone is completely off. It's in with some of the stuff I kept from my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and her phone is still active. As far as like, is paid up until like, I think October or November of this year. So that number hasn't gone anywhere. It's still connected with like her account. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
she did the smart track or whatever it's called through Walmart. She doesn't have she didn't have AT&T or Verizon or anything like that. She has Straight Talk. That's what it is. So it's not with a phone company. It's just with that.
Well, I have no experience with this. I did once. First of all, it's crazy. That would, I would, John knows this. I would take my phone and immediately throw it in the garbage.
Yeah, right.
First and foremost, and I would just go to Apple and say I need a new phone, right? And get like,
Right.
that's why I get Apple Care. I wouldn't tell him it's a ghost because I don't know if ghosts are covered in Apple Care, but I would smash it
Well,
and get rid of it.
and if it was his mother and my grandmother, and she was trying to contact either of us, it would be, she's still alive, by the way. Thank at the universe.
Yeah.
It would be to her to warn us about some danger that's never gonna affect us.
Right.
Ever.
Lightning or something. And then the other thing is, but I will say this: I once got a phone call from my own number. Like somebody was like, it was a.
Oh, that's a hack.
Yes,
That's what's it
that's
called?
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was like it was
That
me
sucks.
calling myself,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
and it took me
They're
a
trying to
second.
get your voice, dude.
Yeah, so it was like,
Hello, yes, hello, things like that.
so it was like that was the only sort of like, how did they get clone my number to call me, and then it's never, and it was in that respect.
But it's happened. They weren't back-to-back calls.
I know that's crazy.
So it was like one, and then it was about 4 or 5 weeks later is when I got the second one. But it's not like your normal kind of static. It's a weird kind of static on the back end of it, if that makes sense. So it's not like your normal, like, say, turn in your radio and it's like a dead station. It's not that kind of static. It's just like a low static, if that makes sense.
Do you think, I mean, look, is there, as part of your theory, and you're talking about QDE, and we even have a question here, in the chat, is like, when you're talking about energy from people, can what's the question? So it's like, can energy, like, Trolita asked, can childhood energy lock onto your favorite items like dolls, and can energy be trapped through his phone? I'm sure he talked to his mother on that phone 100 times. It's probably a very emotional thing. So it's like, is there something to that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to. That's what I was going to actually get into. So I have a firm belief when it comes to loved ones, and a lot of you know that. This is rooted in science. This isn't rooted in a theory or anything. This is rooted in what we know in science: DNA, memory. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
muscle memory, and of course, organ transplants and things like that, and those people gaining attributes and memories and all sorts of things from such a an action of a transplant or whatever. Memories being memories and things of another person being passed to another person. Okay, so I believe that when we die, our energy scatters, and I think that a lot of that energy, a lot of those memories, go to people that we are close with. There's connections that if they follow, and I think that is, it could be the memories themselves. Like, for example, like, God forbid I go, Uncle Gary might have a very fond memory of me as a child, and guess what Uncle Gary gets?
A
He gets
haunting from
that
you?
memory. Yeah.
I get haunted by you?
Yeah, you get not even haunted by me. Not even haunted by me. You get a part of that. You get a part of that, and it may never even ever manifest. It might just
Right.
stay, mixed in, if you will. I firmly believe that, hands down. Okay, so there's a chance that phone does have something with your mom. Okay, and there's a chance. Well, there's more than a chance. I believe you definitely have, a bit of your mom. And it could be a reaction between the two. That's one theory. The other theory is it's just the phone itself, that it has some of her energy and she's just trying to contact you. That's another theory. If we go a more skeptical approach, you could turn around and be like, oh, it was just an error when she tried to call you, months ago, and it didn't go through. And it's just a loop in the system or whatever, and it's finally activating. Because believe it or not, that happens sometimes too with phone calls. Like, if you ever get those, like, I didn't call you. What are you talking about? But in reality, you called that person 3 months ago. It just never went through. And they're just getting it. That happens.
Or as a butt
literally,
dial.
yeah, that literally happens. So,
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
well,
what do you know?
It's we're jumping around a little bit, but yeah, I mean, first of all, Brian, that's wild. That is wild.
It is wild.
Yeah, I can't explain it.
Yeah, I mean,
now I'm really gonna burn my phone if I hear her talk to me, because like my dad died. My dad died 14 years ago. And
is he calling you?
No, I mean, so my dad was really sick. So the end of his life, he couldn't, the last couple of years of his life, he couldn't make a phone call because of what he had going on with him. But anyways,
were you an only child? Were you an only child, Brian? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the only child. Yep. Okay. So, but I know I have part of his energy, but I'll dream about him. But as far as no phone calls, no weird things. He doesn't come to me or anything like that. I mean, dreams, yes. And I guess that's a way of coming to me is
100%. I firmly believe that too. I don't think they're coming to you. I think it's just the energy that's resonating in you, and then them finally using that as a way to speak with you. I personally don't believe that anybody comes and visits. I think they're just always there. Is there a chance that people could come and visit? Of course. Why wouldn't there be? But most of the time with loved ones, when someone goes, oh, I have a dream of them, I really think it's just that energy that's already in you, finally able to speak.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's a good segue to talk when you're talking about the energy that's there and what's connected to you, because in the next episode of the podcast that drops on Tuesday, that's John, your first reading with Kathy that we're going to show. And what's becomes really interesting with Kathy and John is that what you're going to see is everything she picks up are the spirits around John predominantly, as opposed to the John himself. And that's also why, Brian, I'm asking, does this happen around John? Because he just might be a magnet for ghostly trouble that makes everybody's life a little bit more confusing.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and it's like, so. And first of all, and by the way, guys, I'm sorry I'm not giving shout outs to everybody in these chats. And we're sitting here talking, and I'm not the shout out master like John is when he does his lives, trying to read 60 different things. But
this is
It's a little
technically a
different,
live taping of
but
a
I
podcast,
truly
you know?
appreciate you guys all being on here and helping us out, keep this pod going. So thank you. I am looking every now and
Appreciate
again, and we'll try to call you out and drop a question every now and again when I see it. But John, talk to us about what's coming up. Tell the people what you felt, what they should expect, what you're thinking, and why that is. As
So with the next episode that's coming up, it's with me and Kathy, and Kathy is a medium psychic, which in itself, me being with her is big for a lot of people because I don't really work or deal with them because of the nature of the beast itself. It's rare that you will see me with somebody of that status, whether they claim it or not. And it is just very incredible to see someone who is real and does it rather than someone who claims to be real and does it horribly. And we've spoken about this. I've said it many times. At times it sounds like she's rambling. She's not trying to get information out of you. She's literally, sometimes it's like she's just going. And it's amazing because you're going to start to realize when you watch this next episode how much stuff she speaks about intertwines with our current documentation of the places we go and the things that we do. So it's gonna be really cool to start to see all that unfold.
do you remember what the most shocking thing she brought up was? That we should we
Honestly,
want people to keep an eye out for?
I think that happens with the next episode, not this one that's coming up, the following. I think that's what me and her in the fireplace room. I think that's when I was like, okay.
Well, I remember in this next one, there was like, I think he went and took a candy cane break, and she started talking about I think this is the one where when she starts talking about splat, and you just were like, what? And there was like the worker, and she keeps seeing splat, and there was someone in the
Yes,
right?
yes. Oh, yes, that's right. She brings up Peter.
Yeah.
Peter here. She does bring up the worker.
And
But
guys, I think I dropped that later today as a little promo, so you're gonna know that specifically. So if you keep tabs, follow Splintered Spirits, and you'll see that, a little clip from that. But yeah, tell everybody what that is, John.
Yeah, so there is and a lot of you do know about this. There is a spirit named Peter here who felt like he was being ripped off and decided to rob the establishment. And he tried to break into the office and he fell to his death. And our first introductions of Peter were not that. We were introduced to Peter as a hard worker and a friendly guy. He was always working. He would be like, "Oh, I have 5 minutes. Hello," like it was wild. Like it was Peter, Pete, we're looking for you. Like awesome spirit. And then I find out information that has nothing to do. This was not from the spirits. This was from people who worked here, management in the building. When I brought up the name Peter to them, they color drained from their faces. They were like, "Holy shit!" Peter fell to his death, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, "Oh well, he's still here working," like. But funny enough, I've heard very little about that from the spirits. I'm waiting to finally catch that where it's like, like we're hearing about Peter's death from the spirits. A little chatter here and there, but nothing conclusive. So this whole death of Peter, the next time it's actually brought up by somebody who's not in management or me was Kathy.
Right. How would she know that? It's so crazy. You guys are gonna love that one.
The only way you're gonna know that is if you went to the police station here and asked for records. And
she didn't do that. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And it wasn't even in the paper. There was nothing, in the paper about it. Nothing. It was all hush hush, kept under.
Hey, John. Amanda Lynn is asking, can spirits that passed as babies communicate?
Yes, but not speaking. Not speaking. We do hear coos, screams, cries, baby giggles, things like that, but they do not speak. They do not speak.
That's the worst. Is that the worst? Is that the worst ghost? Having a baby crying
honestly,
ghost?
No, the worst is the
Old people.
older ones. No, no,
Yes.
like the older children. The worst is the ones that are like 3 and up that can communicate with you. That gets me. Like there's
3 and
been
up?
there's
Why? Because they just keep asking dumb questions like, "What is this? What's an airplane? Why can't we go there? What is it?" Is it like every 3-year-old on earth that just bugs the
No,
shit out of
no.
you?
Most of the time they're very like, oh, no one ever visits me, no one sees me. You know, I'm alone. I'm the and it gets to you, and you're like, ah, shit. You know, like this part. You know, whatever memories of this child are here, they're not with their parents. You know, sometimes you get
Oh,
lucky.
you mean it hits you right here, not like it bugs
Oh
you.
yeah,
I
dude,
see.
dude. It fucking it takes a lot to get to me because I'm always just joking around about everything. You know, everybody's got problems. I find them hilarious. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I got my own problems. I find those funny too.
Right.
You know, but the children, the ones that can communicate, get to you, especially when they start with the sadness. You know, and it's innocent too. That's the other thing. You can hear the innocence.
Sure.
You know, and it's like, but sometimes they're happy. Sometimes they're happy. When they're happy, it's great because it's like, all right, awesome.
Have you ever
But when they're
caught
not happy,
have you ever busted like a liar? Like maybe it's someone tricking you that they're a kid?
oh fuck yeah, hell yeah.
How do you do that? How do you trick? How do
Oh,
you bust a
dude. All right.
ghost?
So
And
that
that's wait a minute. I realize how stupid that sounded when I just said, "How do you bust a ghost?" But you
yeah,
know what I mean. How do you
yes,
figure out that a ghost is it's tricking you?
is lying, is lying to
Yes,
you.
is lying.
Yes. So I have one rule when it comes to speaking with spirits
Yes.
that I do not break, and that is I don't trust like that. It is a
Okay.
golden rule. It is the everybody. I a lot of people don't follow it when it comes to spirits and investigating. I don't trust like that. You know, I don't care how many times a little 5-year-old's gonna be like, "I want to go with you. I want to leave with you, please. I want to leave with you." No matter how many times I've communicated with them, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. And sometimes I might almost give in and be like, "Yeah, come back to the tower." You know, things like that. I stop myself. I don't trust like that. Okay, you can't trust like that because you never know. And I'm going to get into people in the chat are saying it. I'm going to get into a spirit named Sarah. I
Yeah. What's
came
this?
across a
Yeah. I see. I'm
child
seeing
named
Sarah come up a lot here.
I came across a child named Sarah here at the tower. Okay, her mother was a seamstress. No, excuse me. Her mother worked in the cafeteria in the mess hall, and her father was what was World War One.
Yeah,
Said
or two. One of
it was one of the world wars. He fought. She said the war. There's only one the war, and that's World War One.
right.
Okay, that's what they when spirits talk about the war, they're usually talking about World War One
Not
because
World
that
War
was
II.
like, well, dude, the technology was different for World War Two, even
I
though
see.
it wasn't as advanced. World War One, the trenches were
Okay.
insane,
Yeah.
like insane, like nothing compares to that theater of war when it comes to it was horrible, it was like horrible. Um, So yeah, the war. So her father died in the war. Her mother worked in the mess hall here. She would come and visit us all the time. She was so happy. I love your cat. I love you, John. This, that, and the other. And it's like, oh, Sarah's coming to visit. This is great. And then one night we're doing shots for coins. One night we're doing shots for coins. I'm on TikTok. I am in the worst state you can find me in.
You're in the zone.
I'm
You're in the
yeah,
zone.
I can't read the chat anymore. I'm taking my glasses off to read the chat. Like I'm done.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, the spirits start talking, and they're like, "Don't trust Sarah. Sarah is a demon. This, that, and the other." And I'm like, "What are you spirits talking about?" This is months later now.
Sure.
Months later, I'm like, "What are you spirits talking about?" And then a couple weeks go by, nothing comes of that. I'm like, these spirits are just fucking around. All of a sudden, Sarah shows up, and Sarah just turns, becomes a completely different spirit. Their same
Really?
sweet voice saying things like, "I'm going to eat your cat," just getting nasty,
Oh yeah.
like literally revealing what she is and, what she's there to do.
Why
And
would she want to
it
eat
was
your cat?
insane. I don't know.
It's so
I don't know.
strange. What a strange thing to
So
say.
weird. Yeah. So, well, she knows how much, she loves, everybody in the chat loves that cat. So I think she was trying to get a rise out of the people watching and
Sure.
myself.
And she's here in the
Um,
tower. She's still here?
the whole factory.
She's
You
at
can
the she's
find
just
her
the
wherever.
factory.
She
Are
does.
there
In
anybody?
your office.
She was in my other office.
Got
She's
it.
come up here twice so far. She's come up to the tower twice so far. And I think I have a theory with her. I think she is some sort of byproduct of the rituals that happened here in 1997. Unfortunately, there were rituals that did happen here. The
In
spirits have talked
1997?
in 1997. The spirits have talked about it. They've given us details. Management has found a lot of weird shit in here over the years. One of
$1997.
supposedly one of the supers has had a whole collection of like strange like athames, which is like a ritualistic dagger, dolls, crystals, all this
Like
stuff
what
that,
religion would they say?
that were
Would you
like
think? Voodoo or some shit? Like what's around there? What was the
everything's
ethnicity and the
around here.
people like
There's Uncle Gary on. Do you remember? And I know
Santeria or something?
you
I
have
don't
to
even know
you
what
have
that
to
is.
you have to
I'm
really
saying it.
dive into your memory for this. Do you remember on South Regent Street the old Santeria witch shop that was right where the salon
Well,
is? Like,
yeah, that's why I said Santeria. I don't even know what it
yeah,
is. Like,
yeah,
what the
no, but
religion
so
is of any kind.
that was a mix. It was voodoo,
I don't
Santeria,
practice
the
it.
the other one, whatever there's all different types. So everything is around here. Like everything's
Sure.
around here. And whatever they were doing involved an unborn child and a pregnant mother and like all this crazy shit. So whatever happened, because I don't have all the details, I believe that there were certain entities that were either attracted to it or came forth because of it. Because that's what happens with a lot of ritualistic behavior that
That
people
seems
don't
like
realize.
something you should dig into.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
we do dig into it. We do. But I have a certain style with my documentation. I don't look for it. Either we're gonna stumble upon it, or it's gonna come to me. I don't go and obviously plan this stuff out and whatnot. So, but it does. It's something that literally every once or twice a month will get brought up. And we find out just a little more information here and a little more information there. And what's really wild about it is I've come across two entities that I can identify. One we call the unnamed one, the nameless one. He likes to feed off, what was it, fear or sadness? I think it was sadness. It was sadness. And he spoke about it, how he's hungry for it. Sarah feeds off fear. And that's also
yes.
been documented.
Okay.
So these two entities, these two non-human entities that are here in this tower, because of these rituals, we do come across every now and then. Crazy, right?
Yeah, no,
This
it's
place
super
is nuts.
crazy. Have you met anyone? And we're getting close to the hour here, but it's fine if we go a little over. I don't know what you guys got to do. But one thing that
I'm good for now.
we want to do, that I want to do with this podcast too, is find witnesses. We've tested with with Kathy, as you're going to see in the next two episodes. I think she certainly showed us that there's something there. There's a there there's a connection, that she's feeling it too. Now it's like the witnesses, and not just witnesses like, oh, I'm watching John, and I don't mean, hey, I'm watching John and I see it too. I'm talking about like you see something, and then we found somebody who was like, I was here, and that same thing happened to me when I was here. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to figure out find some corroborating stories, or finding somebody who felt something and then having you go there to see if you feel it. Working it the other way.
We could set that up. The problem is we're gonna have to get. I think they're under 18.
No, we
So
don't
we're
want
gonna
any part
have
of
to
that.
get permission. We're gonna have to get permission from their parents, I think, because at the pre-Revolutionary War burial grounds, I came across an entity known as the Smoke, and these group of teenagers were dealing with an entity that they called the Creature, and it come to find out it was the same goddamn entity, and they approached me about it. They were like, "Hey, you do paranormal, right? Me and my friends and blah blah blah." And they went on this whole thing. I mean, they had like at least 3-4 years of a story for me that
Right.
they've been dealing with, and it's like, holy shit. So I have to see. I mean, one of them might be 18. I have to find out. They pop into the chat every now and then. So,
well, that's something I would like to find, because I want to see, or even if it's a news story, if someone's experiencing someone. So I throw that out to the chat. I throw that out to the thing. If someone's experiencing something and we can make it happen, if we can figure it out, if it's local, we know John's in New York, and we can see if he experiences it as well. It'll sort of help us on our journey here to figure, as we start playing around in what are spirits, how are people experiencing them differently, and everything else. I think we just add another layer to this idea of what spirits are, which is it happened to two different people, two different places, two different times, same thing, right? That's one thing I would love to see, and I want to obviously see it through your eyes and see if that can happen.
so we
Which
would
is
have
the
to
way to go.
find we would have to find people that had an experience. The best thing to do is find people that have had an experience at a location. Find as many as you can.
Mhm.
Don't tell me about the location. Don't tell me about the people,
Yeah.
and send me to the location.
I would love it. I'm throwing it out there for people who know anything about it. They can go onto Splintered Spirits,
Would be the
tell me your story, submit it, and tell me where I can find these people, and I'll have a conversation with them, and then we'll try to set something up. I'm the one who reads that stuff, so John won't know it. You submit it through Splintered Spirits. I'll bring it to him later, or depending on how we use it. If it
the
all
only
checks
way I
out.
would know it is if you message me first, and then I tell
Yeah.
I tell you to message Splinter Spirits.
Go
So don't
through
message me.
Splintered Spirits.
Splinter
Follow Splintered
Spirits.
Spirits. Wow, we got a lot more people this time. It's great. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are dope. It's really good. That's it. Is there anything else you want to throw out? We want to talk about? Anything we want to hit? We got a new episode dropping Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there next week. So I think our live next week might be Wednesday, not Thursday. We'll be together.
Okay.
So we'll figure that out. We'll talk. But yeah. We covered a lot. That was fun.
So then what I suggest we do for Wednesday is maybe you should join me on TikTok. We'll go for a
I'll be around.
walk. We'll go wherever.
Yeah, we'll figure out.
And then,
that could be
and
funny.
then we'll go. Yeah, and then we'll go and do the Splinter Spirits, and do a whole live. We could talk about all that and incorporate that into what we're doing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's put a plan together for that and figure out how we do that and get there, and we'll work that out. That could be really fun.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Brian, show your boy. Let him say goodbye to the people.
See you guys.
That was really a good time. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well. I think that worked out really well. I think we had a lot of fun stuff. And John?
Cool. Guys, thank you so much. Everybody who tuned in for this live taping, really appreciate you. I'll see you guys tonight.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to shut it down. Keep your phone.
Keep it open,
keep it on until we...
I'll let you know when it shuts down on TikTok.
Yeah, I got to shut it.
I had both TikTok and